So let's come to the top of our mat. We can have our legs about hip width distance apart is a nice stable position, but if you'd like to bring your legs together, you have that option as well. And then you can do anything with your hands. You can just let them fall down by your sides. You can maybe bring them to your hips, or you can even bring one hand to your stomach, one hand to your heart. Any space that is feeling grounding for you, any space that you feel that you can just start to tune inward and center your breath for the first few moments. So let's take some full deep in and exhales through our nose. In through the nose. Big inhale, holding at the top once you get there. And then slowly release. Noticing your breath as your lungs expand and soften. Feeling the breath as it energizes the body, brings a life force to the body, and starts to calm, hopefully, our mind for the next 30-minute class. Knowing that we can always tune back inward to the breath. If anything gets too challenging, we can always come back to our breath. So take one more full deep inhale here. Full deep exhale, fully releasing. And then we'll begin. If your eyes are closed, you can gently blink them open. And we're going to start with a full body warm-up, starting with our feet, working the way all the way up the body, all the way to the crown of our head. So to begin, I'm just going to place my hands on my hips, but you can always use a chair for balance if you need. We're going to start by lifting one heel up, pressing into the ball of our foot, and then releasing the heel back down and switching to the opposite foot. So pressing through the heels, warming up all the little bones in the bottom of our foot, top of our foot, our toes. Just starting to wake up the feet. And then let's shift our weight to one leg. I'm going to start with shifting my weight over to the right and letting my left leg get really light. You can do either leg to start, since we'll do both. But we're balancing on one foot, and let's start to roll our ankle. So I'm rolling my left ankle in a circle, going in one direction. Again, starting to just warm up all the bones in the foot, and this time the ankle. You might also feel a stretch in your shin and calf. And then make sure you reverse that circle, going in the opposite direction. And then let's flex and point the toes. Still standing on one leg, flexing the toes, bringing the toes as close to the shin as possible, and then pointing the toes down to the ground. Flexing and pointing. And then release that leg back down, and we'll take the other side, shifting the weight to the opposite leg, making the other leg nice and light, and we'll take our ankle circles, rolling the ankle in one direction, really feeling the stretch all the way to the bottom of the foot, top of the foot. Maybe wiggle your toes a little bit. And reverse the circle, go in the opposite direction. And then we'll flex and point, flexing the toes, bringing them as close to the shin as possible, and then pointing the toes down to the ground, flexing and pointing. And again, that chair, if you have one, is always there for balance, so that you can really focus on the muscles that are working. All right, release the leg back down, good job. Let's take our hands, let's bring our feet together if they weren't already. Take your hands, bring them to your knees, and we're gonna take some knee circles. So bending our knees and drawing a circle in one direction. I don't know if you could hear my knees cracking, but it's okay if you hear your knees cracking as well. Just going as fast or as slow as you need, really rooting your feet into the ground as you do this. And reverse that circle. And let's come to stillness, coming back up through center. Hands can go on the hips again, or anywhere that's stable, maybe the chair. And we're gonna make one leg light, shifting the weight to one side. Let's bring our leg in front of us and we're going to take some hip swings. So swinging hip forward, swinging the hip back. Not out of control, just bringing the leg forward and back so that you feel the stretch in your hip flexor. Start to just wake up and warm up that hip, bringing some movement to it. Swinging back and forward. Really rooting down through that supporting leg. Going up through the hip, up and out of the hip, and engaging the core. That will help with balance. And then next time you bring that leg to the front, we're going to come to the center and balance. So this leg in front can be as high or as low as you'd like. It can come at 90 degrees. It can be a little lower. Or if you'd like to bring your knee above 90, maybe grab hold of that leg in front of you with one or both arms, squeezing it, pulling it in close to the body. Breathing here for just about 2 breaths, pulling up through that supporting leg, up and out of the hip. One more breath. And release that leg back down. Excellent. Let's take the other leg. Swing, starting with our hip swing. So swinging forward and back, just in a forward and back motion. By spreading our toes on the supporting leg and really making that foot as wide as possible, that will help with balance, creating a large base. And then pulling up through that leg, that supporting leg. Do about 1 or 2 more swings and then we'll hold it in front of us. So again, our leg can be low, just focusing on balance, maybe at 90 degrees or maybe above 90 if you want to grab hold of that leg in front of you. And pull it in close to the body. Excellent. Release that leg back down. Make any movements with your hips that you need. If you want to bend or straighten one leg at a time. We're going to do one more hip warm up. Hands can come to the hips again. And then we're going to swing our leg from side to side. So this time, bring the leg across the body and opening the hip. Across and opening. Again, creating movement in our hip, this time laterally. We'll just take a few and come back to stillness, switch legs, and then take the other leg across and side. You can do this as high or as low as you'd like, as fast or as slow as you'd like. And then let's find stillness. Let's take our legs as wide as the mat. So a little bit wider than hip distance, and we're going to take some hip circles. So swinging our hips to the side, to the front, to the other side, and back. Let's keep a little bit of a bend in our knees here as we do this movement, just to protect our knees and hamstrings. But I love this stretch as it gets into my low back when I go forward. So just enjoying this stretch. And then reverse that circle. Excellent. Coming back through center. Now we're going to take our legs even wider. If your legs may come off the mat, let's open our toes so they're facing away from the body. And we're going to take star pose. So let's inhale, breathe our arms up overhead. Once they come to the top, maybe you can bring your palms to touch. And exhale, lower the arms back down. Let's do that again. Inhale, arms come up. Maybe this time we look up at those hands. Finish the inhale, then exhale, lower the arms back down. Let's take our hands to prayer, pressing the palms in front of us. We're going to take goddess pose. So bending deeply into these legs, bending into a nice deep squat. Breathing here, you can either keep your palms pressing together or maybe it feels better to keep your hands on your hips. Find your space. One more breath down here. Then let's straighten the legs. And we'll take goddess pose for a couple more breaths. So bending deeply back to goddess. Sitting in that nice deep and wide squat. Maybe you press your hands together, or maybe this time you want to take cactus arms, opening them up to 90-degree angles, hands open, elbows out wide. Hold for one more breath. Then exhale, release, straighten the legs. Walk the legs in, good work, great warm up. Let's breathe our arms up overhead. Inhale as we bring our arms up. And then exhale, let's forward fold. So a nice generous forward fold. Your feet can be together or you can separate them a little bit. Have a nice generous bend in your knee and we're gonna take ragdoll. So we're folding forward, let your head and neck be heavy, let your shoulders and torso be heavy. We're reaching towards the ground, but it's okay if we don't touch it. And then maybe you wanna grab the opposite elbows to help release any tension in that upper back. If you'd like to sway from side to side or shake the head in any way to release more tension, take this time. And then let's release the arms back down and slowly roll up, taking your time to roll up, focusing on each vertebrae one at a time as we come up. Our head is the last thing to come up. Then let's inhale, breathe our arms up overhead, and then exhale, let's find cactus arms again at the top of our mat. Our legs can be together or a little bit separated. Let's inhale, open the chest, bring the shoulders back behind us like we're doing a back bend. So nice wide elbows, feel those shoulder blades pulling together back behind us. And then let's exhale, bring the elbows and the palms together, round that upper spine, maybe drop the head and neck. Let's do that again. Inhale, we'll open the chest, maybe we look up to the sky. Exhale, bring the elbows, the hands, the palms, the arms together, drop the head, roll the spine. And take one or two more at your own pace, following your breath. After you've finished your set, we'll come back to cactus pose. We're just going to take a few twists, just twisting from left to right. Trying to keep your legs together, hips facing forward and only moving and twisting the upper body. Then release those arms back down. Let's inhale, breathing our arms up overhead, and we'll take sundial pose. I don't know if you can see my hands if they're getting cut off. We're going to grab our wrist on the right arm and pull the right arm over to the left, finding that nice side body stretch for sundial. Breathing here, pressing that top shoulder up and back. Really shifting our hips out and away. Coming back up through center, switch arms, grab hold of that left wrist, breathe up before we breathe over to the right. Pulling that left arm over to the right, shifting the hips out to the left, pulling that top arm up and back, opening the chest forward. Breathe here. And then come back up through center, exhale, release the arms back down. Great work. Hopefully we're feeling a little bit more warmed up and loose. Let's inhale for our sun salutation. Arms come up, reaching to the sky. Exhale, forward fold, reaching towards the ground. You can have a little bend in your knees. Take our halfway lift, so pressing our hands into our shins or maybe our thighs, flat back, crown of the head is reaching away from the tailbone. Really feel that stretch in the backs of your legs. Exhale, forward fold again, plant your hands into the ground, and then step back to plank position, or you can drop your knees. As we exhale, we'll bend the arms, reaching and lowering all the way to the ground. Press your hands into the ground and let's inhale, halfway lift for cobra. So cobra, our arms can be nice and bent. Maybe we come up a little bit higher. Find your space. What we're really doing is pressing through our hips and legs into the ground and just lifting with our upper back. See if you can make those hands nice and light on the ground, maybe even lifting them up. That will definitely activate your shoulders and back behind you. Exhale, release back down, and then pressing up through tabletop or plank, and then pressing our hips up all the way through downward facing dogs. Hip comes high, our hands press into the ground, shoulders release away from our ears, head and neck are released and relaxed towards the ground. Hips are high, maybe you have a bend in your knees, and if you'd like to bend or straighten one leg at a time, take any movements that feel good to you. Find stillness for one breath, and then we're going to walk to the top of our mat, slowly walking forward, and then rolling up once you get to the top of your mat. Take a sun salutation again. Inhale, breathing up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold, reaching to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift, nice flat back. Reach with the crown of the head. Exhale, forward fold. Plant the hands, step back to plank or tabletop position, lowering down to the ground. Inhale, halfway lift, or maybe this time you want to come all the way up to up dog, reaching the thighs off the ground, pressing through the hands. And then inhale, let's come back up through table or all the way through downward facing dog. Again, let's pedal out the feet, make any movements here as you'd like. Get settled in this downward facing dog, and then we're going to take three-legged dog. So on our inhale, we're going to reach our right leg up to the sky. So we're only going to lift our right leg so much that we can keep our hips squared to the front of the mat. We don't want to really open up our hips. We want to try and keep them facing forward, legs straight behind us. Now let's bend that leg back behind us and take a few hip circles. Going in one direction, and then reverse the circle and go in the opposite direction. Plant that leg back down, and then we'll take the other side. If your arms are getting tired here in downward facing dog, you can always take child's pose as a break for your arms. Otherwise, let's inhale, left leg to the sky. Try to keep our hips nice and flat. Let's bend that knee and take hip circles on the left. Going in one direction. And reversing the circle. Going in the other direction. Lowering the left leg down. And then let's step, walk, or hop all the way to the top of our mat. And slowly roll up. One vertebrae at a time. Head is the last thing to come up. Take a nice deep breath here at the top of our mat. Find mountain pose. So inhale, breathing our shoulders up to our ears. Exhaling the shoulders down and away from our ears. Palm face forward. Root down through the feet. Reach up through the crown of the head. Take this time to reset your breath. Try and slow your breath. And tune back inward to that space where we first began. Excellent. You can release your arms. We're going to come have a seat on the mat. So take your time to get down to the mat. Once you do so, we're going to have our legs in front of us and bent, feet flat on the ground. I'll turn to the side so you can have a better view, but you can keep facing forward. And we're going to do a little core work. So we're going to take boat pose. So we have a few options here with boat. Let's plant our hands. Let's reach our arms in front of us. So both of our arms are reaching in front of us. Thumbs facing up to the sky, fingers facing forward. And then a few options with this. Our ultimate goal is to engage the core and pull the ribs in close to each other. So we can start with this with just one leg. Lifting one leg off the ground and lowering. Lifting another leg off the ground and lowering. So using our core strength here to lift and lower one leg at a time. And you can lean back, but if we lean back, we want to keep our spine nice and long behind us. Another option is to lift both legs off the ground at the same time. So see how that feels. Lifting one leg and then the other. You may need to shift your weight back even further, but try and keep that flat back behind you. Reaching the arms away. And then you always have the option to straighten those legs in front of you instead of keeping them bent. So use this time, find your space, find your boat pose. Hold it as long as you can, release, come back to it, do whatever you need to do. Feel that core. Feel the hip flexors working. Take a few more breaths, a few more sets here. Whatever your practice looks like is perfect for today. And then let's release. Breathing in and out through our nose. We can bring our legs in, and we're gonna find butterfly pose on the ground. So feet pressing together, knees out wide, pressing those knees out and away from the body, trying to get them as low to the ground as possible. Let's sit up nice and tall. We can grab hold of our ankles or our feet in front of us. Let's sit up nice and tall so we can find a nice flat and long spine. And then we're going to take a few poses with our torso, like cat and cow poses. So we're going to exhale. We're going to roll our spine back into space, drop your head and neck. And then on our inhale, let's pull the torso in, arch the back, open the chest, and maybe look up to the sky. So taking those two poses, rolling back into space, dropping the head and neck, and then inhaling, pulling the spine up, arching the back, and maybe looking up to the sky. So take a few of those. And then let's find stillness with our nice long spine, reaching up. And then let's take our hands, walking them in front of us, hinging at the hips, reaching in front. And we're going to hold here with our forward folded butterfly for about 5 breaths. So find the space that's right for you. See if you could settle into this space. Maybe gently close your eyes. Starting to slow the breath. Release the muscles. Take one more full round of breath here before you slowly walk the arms back in towards your body, coming back up with a long spine. Excellent. Let's bring our legs out long in front of us. Starting with the right leg, let's bend the right leg, keeping the left leg long. Left leg, foot is flexed, toes are pointing to the sky, and this long leg in front of us is nice and strong, pulling up through the kneecap. And then our right leg, we're pulling it in as close to the body as we can. You can keep it right here, or if you'd like to also cross it over the left leg, that is an additional option. Wherever we are, let's inhale, breathing our arms up overhead. Exhale, lowering the arms down in front of us. And then we're going to take a twist. So we're going to twist towards the right leg that's bent, twisting to the right. Reaching the right arm back behind us in space. See if you can plant it down behind you to help straighten the spine and help deepen the twist. Maybe you look over to the right, or maybe you try and look all the way back behind your right shoulder. Exhale, let's unwind, coming back through center. Let's straighten that right leg down on the earth, and this time we'll bend the left leg. So our right leg is nice and long and strong on the floor. Our left leg is bent. It can be directly in front of us, pulling it as close to the body as possible, or you can cross it over the right leg. Let's take our hands by our side. Inhale, reaching them up to the sky. Exhale, lowering them down in front of us. And then we'll take our twist to the left, twisting towards that bent leg, towards the left. Our left arm behind us can be planted onto the ground, propping our spine up, helping us twist even further. See if you can maybe look beyond that left shoulder. Exhale, unwind, coming back through center. Uncross the leg if it was crossed, and straighten both legs. Maybe shake out the legs if that feels good. At this time, you can take any final poses, any final movements before our Shavasana. If you're ready for Shavasana, let's come lying down, bring our back to the floor. Legs are long, arms are long, and flipping our palms to face the sky. We'll find stillness in this position as we really release and relax the entire body, tuning back to our breath as we started the practice, and tuning back inward. Bring some awareness back to your breath. Take full, deep, long in and exhales through the nose. Bring some movement back to our limbs and roll onto one side. Taking your time, coming back to a seated position. Once you arrive, let's take our hands by our side. Inhale, breathing our arms up overhead. Exhaling, hands down in front of us through heart center. Namaste.